we are having hearings into the oil spill. You're going to be shocked to find out that the three companies involved, British Petroleum, Transocean, and Halliburton, all believe that it is not their fault. Did you know that? That's amazing. So it was a gigantic chorus today of, wasn't me, wasn't me, wasn't me, wasn't me, wasn't me, wasn't me. That's basically what they said over and over. But I'll tell you specifically what they said, and this is funny. So we get to go to a top executive of BP, and he says, look, the critical safety device that was supposed to shut off oil flow on the ocean floor of the event in the case of a blowout failed to operate. And the chairman of BP America, Lamar McKay, says that was to be the fail-safe in case of an accident, and that it was supposed to protect a 450-ton blowout. It was supposed to be a blowout protector, and he said that that was done by Transocean. So look, we weren't supposed to do the blowout protector. Transocean was supposed to do it. Well, so obviously it wasn't us. It was Transocean. Well, luckily the executives from Transocean are also there. So we go to Transocean and go, okay, well, I guess it was your fault, right? Well, no, apparently not. Transocean CEO Steve Newman says, quote, offshore oil and gas production projects begin and end with the operator, in this case, BP. He says, it wasn't us. I mean, they're operating this thing, and they're the ones that told us what to do. We were just listening to them. Well, obviously, it's their fault. And plus, the guys who were supposed to do the cementing, what just caused the real problem in the first place, is Halliburton. So it was Halliburton's fault. So then we go to Halliburton. Guess what they're going to say? So Halliburton executive Tim Probert says that the company's work was finished, quote, in accordance with the requirements set out by BP and industry-wide practices. It wasn't us. No, obviously it was them. Okay? So, well, problem solved. And so now that we've seen who's at fault here and we had these hearings, well, everything will be settled. I'm glad that they finally took responsibility for their actions, and we're going to work it out. Okay, maybe not. Here's what's going to happen instead. An enormous amount of litigation where they're going to continue this it wasn't us for years on end, probably for decades on end, in an attempt for all of them to not pay any of the bill. Now, what would have been refreshing, and of course in this capitalist society that we have, completely undoable, is if they had come out and said, hey, you know what, I'll be honest with you. Halliburton didn't do the cementing. That caused the problem. Transocean is running the rig, and they should have known to check in on them, and they didn't, and they're ultimately responsible for running the rig. So it's definitely Transocean's fault too. And the guys who were getting the oil in the first place and set this whole operation up is BP, so they're also responsible. And we got together amongst ourselves and decided, hey, you know what? Since BP's running the whole thing, they're about 60% responsible. Since Halliburton made the mistake in the first place, 20%, Transocean running the actual rig, 20%. And okay, American people, don't worry. We're going to pay for our mistakes, and we've decided to divvy it up in this way, in a responsible way. It's not going to happen in America. But the thing is, it'll drag out 20 years, and then a judge or a jury will come to pretty much that same exact decision, but after they avoided paying fines and making sure that all the fishermen in the area went bankrupt and the tourist industry took an enormous hit and they didn't get paid all that time. And then at the end, by the time the lawyers are done, they'll get, $25 per fisherman. The hotels will get about $12. And everybody will walk out happy at BP, Halliburton, and Transocean, and the rest of us will get hosed. Welcome to America. All right. Now, one more thing on that, which is good news. The Interior Department has decided they're going to split up Minerals Management Service. Why is that a good thing? They're the ones that are in charge of all gathering oil that's on our land and our water. Now, they don't actually gather it, but they give out the contracts. Now, they had this enormous conflict of interest there, and this is a very interesting story, okay, because of what happened during the Bush administration. Their conflict of interest is, well, they have to regulate the oil industry, but at the same time, they get revenue into the government and obviously, get rewarded at their job if they get more revenue in. So they have a conflict of interest. Well, if we try to check the oil companies and regulate them a little bit, we might get less revenue, and we get rewarded based on revenue. So, nah, let's just let them have it, okay? Have at it, Hoss, basically. Now, the story gets interesting because in the Bush administration, some of these guys that were at the Minerals Management Service got charged because it turns out that they were taking money, booze, and prostitutes from the oil industry. Okay, now there's two aspects of this. One, while they're in office, they're getting plied with booze and women, right? They're like, oh, this is awesome. You want to do offshore drilling in the Gulf of Mexico? Ah, hell yeah! Let's have another Corona. Get it? And then they go off with the whores. So that's a disaster. The second part of why they weren't doing effective regulation is because guess where those same guys are going to go to work right after they get out of the Minerals Management Service? Ding, 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 we have a winner. Of course, they're going to get hired by the oil industry and the energy sector that they were regulating. Now, you think they're going to do effective regulation? Hell no. So now, look, this doesn't solve the problem completely because those same regulators will still keep getting hired by the energy industry when they're done. But at least we've solved half the problem by splitting it up so that the guys who are regulating the industry do not get rewarded based on the amount of revenue they bring in. That's a different branch now within Minerals Management Service, and that avoids one conflict of interest. All right, as Bush used to say, we're making progress. I'll take it for now.